Today we're gonna look at what makes a facially attractive Asian man. So for the unattractive one, I chose Jason Deween. We can see that he scores extremely low in his front harmony. And for this comparison here, we're only gonna look at the front profile because this guy's name is Cha Eun-woo. He's an actor and a singer. He doesn't have the best side profile, and actually, unironically, Jason Deween scores higher than him in his side profile. So I'm gonna show you guys a different side profile, and right now we're gonna look at the front profile. So he's a good example of someone who has high facial harmony, good misc, decent sorry, pretty good angularity as well, but he's just lacking the dimorphism. We can just visually see who's clearly more attractive here. So I'll show you guys how we can differentiate that. So mid-face ratio, this is a crucial one. You see Jason Deween kind of has far set eyes, so they look kind of wide. And it's the opposite for Cha Eun-woo. So the mid-face ratio, he gets pretty much ideal, while Jason Deween gets a bit off. And this looking at the chin to philtrum ratio. So Jason Deween's lower third, his chin is a bit too long, bit too big, while Cha Eun-woo's chin to philtrum, his chin and his philtrum are more proportional. It's ideal, right in the middle. And you see Jason Deween is all the way on the right for all of these, or all the way on the left. And this is important too. This is a canthal tilt. So Jason Deween actually has the neutral canthal tilt. You guys can see it's exactly 0. And for Asian men, and just anyone in general, we would want a positive canthal tilt. And we can see that Cha Eun-woo, he's almost ideal. It's at a 9.89. This is actually a little too high, but it's pretty much ideal. And for mouth to nose width ratio, this is important too. So Jason Deween's mouth is too narrow and his nose is too wide, while Cha Eun-woo's mouth is on the wider side while his nose is also slim. So he gets his ideal while Jason Deween gets it unideal. Ipsilateral angle. Jason Deween's, again, his eyes are too far apart, so it looks like the ipsilateral angle is off, because this is looking at the eyelid points, the end of the eyelid points, and just looking at connecting it to the septum. And Cha Eun-woo gets his ideal. Cheekbone height. Cha Eun-woo has high set cheekbones, ideal, while Jason Deween's cheekbones are very low set. Obviously, this isn't an ideal picture because we can't really see his forehead, and he's kind of looking down, but in the phone camera it looks like it was taken below. But this is still a decent look on what makes an unattractive Asian guy here. Mouth corner position. Jason Deween's mouth corners are negatively tilted, while Cha Eun-woo's mouth corner position is slightly positively tilted. And this is actually pretty important that not many people talk about. You guys see how he looks like he's smiling, even though he kind of isn't, while Jason Deween, he kind of has a resting bitch face, and he kind of looks mad. And that's responsible because if we look at the eyebrow tilt, if we can find it, his is negative, while Cha Eun-woo's is positive, and their mouth corner positions are the opposite as well. So when your mouth corners are positive, it actually is responsible for you looking happy, because it looks like you're smiling without actually smiling. And it would be vice versa for Jason Deween. This is eyebrow low setness. This is really important for attractive eye area. We can see that Cha Eun-woo's eyebrows are relatively close to his eyes, and you see the standards are a bit different for Caucasian and Asian men for the eyebrow low setness. Medium low eyebrows for Caucasian men will be considered low set eyebrows for Asian, so that's why it's like not it doesn't look perfectly low set, but this is what is considered low set eyebrows for Asian men. And while even considering that Jason Deween's eyebrows are too high set, it's too far away from the eyes. One eye apart test, this is very important too. This is what a lot of Asians lack. This is looking at the one eye apart test, the PFL, how wide your eyes are. His eyes are too small. We can just visually see that, while Cha Eun-woo's isn't perfect either. It's just a little bit above average. his PFO is at least better. For neck width, this is important. This is looking how wide your neck is, obviously, and Chaonu beats Jason Deween in this one. And this is really important for dimorphism, which Asian men also tend to lack. And we can see that Jason Deween's dimorphism is actually not bad. And it's quite close to Chaonu's actually. But I would say Chaonu still has a bit better dimorphism than Jason Deween. And we can see that his neck is wider. He has a better chin shape. He has a more masculinized eyebrows. I'm pretty sure Chaonu has better hairline. I'm pretty sure Jason Deween has a bad hairline, so I'm also considering that. Slightly thinner lips, which again adds into the dimorphism category. You can see that his jaw frontal angle is better because Jason Deween's jaw is too flat. You can see that it's a bit too flat. It should kind of contour like that, kind of more like a V shape, I guess. We can see that Chaonu has a better jaw contour. Ear protrusion angle. Chaonu has less flared ears than Jason Deween. This is looking at the brow length to face width. Again, this is why Chaonu has slightly better dimorphism. His eyebrows are longer relative to his overall facial width. This is really important. He gets the ideal. While Jason Deween doesn't. His eyebrows should be longer horizontally. Cupid's bow depth. Jason Deween has no Cupid's bow. You guys see how Chaonu's lips, there's a dip there? That's called a Cupid's bow. It's Chaonu has pretty much ideal Cupid's bow depth, while Jason Deween has no Cupid's bow depth. Eyebrow tilt. Again, we talked about this. Lower lip to upper lip ratio. Both of them don't get this ideal because both of their lower lips should be more full, ideally. But Jason Deween's, we can see that his upper lip is very slightly fuller than his lower lip, which is unideal, while Chaonu, his lower lip is a bit fuller than his upper lip. This actually kind of contributes to dimorphism as well, because fuller lips looks more feminine. These are their facial thirds. We can see that Jason Deween's forehead is a bit too small, while Chaonu's forehead is a bit bigger. This also contributes to his dimorphism being better. Nose width, nose bridge to nose width, the sporing, facial width to height ratio. This is really important. This also makes Chaonu a bit more masculine than Jason Deween because his FWHR is a bit more compact. Also, we can see that it's not ideal for both of them, but we can see that Chaonu's FWHR is a bit better. So how you would fix this is for Chaonu, his zygote should be a bit more laterally prominent. And that would also make his dimorphism and angularity better. Let's look at that ESR. Jason Deween, wide set eyes. Chaonu, bit of close set eyes, but it's still pretty good. Just look at the mouth width. And we talked about this in the mouth to nose width ratio. This is a deviation of Ip's lateral angle, jaw frontal angle, looking at the difference between these two. And Chaonu is more harmonious in this department. Lower third, Jason Deween's lower third is a bit too big, but that's not particularly a bad thing as that adds dimorphism. Eye aspect ratio. Again, we kind of partially talked about this. Jason Deween's eyes are too small, while Chaonu, good medial canthus, downturned, sharp. Eyes are big enough where it's not too big where it looks feminine, where it's not too small where it looks like Jason Deween's. Bigonial width. Jason Deween actually mogs Chaonu in this one. Chaonu's jaw is a bit too slightly narrow, while both of their jaws are a bit too narrow, but Jason Deween has it better. Total FWHR. Actually, Chaonu's face is a bit too short relative to his overall width. Considering everything we talked about, I would give Jason Deween, his harmony is really low. His dimorphism isn't bad. I'll give it a 5 point. I'll give it a 6. And I'll give his misc, man, like a 4.5. His eyebrows can be better. Actually, I'll give it a 5.5. I think I'm underrated. His angularity is not that good either. I would give Jason Deween a 4 out of 10. Your stereotypical low tier normie, and I would give Chaonu 7.25. Really good misc, eyebrows, skin, lips, pretty decent eyelashes too, good hairline, good chin shape. We saw it was quite square, decent angularity, pretty decent dimorphism too. Most of his flaws just comes from his side. His front is really good, but his sides deducts his score. But I would still give him a 7.25. Really good. Okay, now we're gonna look at what makes attractive and an unattractive side profile. So we can see this is Park Sunghoon. This is his side profile. He scores extremely high for his side profile. And so this is pretty much perfect harmony, side profile harmony. And his side isn't that good, and let's see why. This is looking at the nasal tip angle, and actually Chaonu mogs Park Sunghoon in the nasal tip angle. This is a mental labial angle, looking at the chin projection. Both of them are recessed relative to Frankfurt plane, but we can see that Park Sunghoon's recession is a bit better. And this is looking at the lip assessment. This is looking at the nasal width to height ratio, and we can see that Park Sunghoon's nose is better projected, while Chaonu's nose is over projected. We can just kind of see that. And you know, your nose is actually, in my opinion, a bit more important on the side profile than the front profile, and this is part of the reason why Park Sunghoon's more attractive on his side profile. Lip assessments. Look at the nasal projection. Again, Chaonu's nose is a bit too overly projected. Just looking at the gonian to mouth line. Your gonians, your jaw, right here, should sit right below the mouth line, right here. But Chaonu quite doesn't do that. While Park Sunghoon's gonians sit right below, ideally. This is looking at the anterior facial depth. They both have it pretty good. This is looking at the facial depth to height ratio. This is how projected the maxilla is. And actually, Chaonu has a better forward growth maxilla wise than Park Sunghoon. Just looking at the brow ridge inclination angle. They have good brow ridges. Nasal frontal angle. Park Sunghoon's brow ridge is a bit more projected. But then that also has to do with Chaonu's nose being a bit too overly projected, which contributes to your nasal frontal angle. This is important. Just look at the facial convexity starting from the gabilla. Just look at the mandible projection. This overall facial projection, whether it's rounded or not. Just looking at the total convexity, lip assessments, nasal mental angle, nasal facial angle, gonal angle. Just looking at the stereotypical jawline. And we can see that Park Sunghoon has a better gonal angle, while Chaonu, he's downgrown. You guys see how his gonians start here and then it goes down? You know, and the mandibular plane angle confirms it. Just looking at the ramus to mandible ratio. Park Sunghoon has a better ramus, is very important for overall jaw mass and side profile aesthetics. Chaonu's ramus is too short relative to his mandible, while Park Sunghoon gets it right in the middle of ideal. This is really good. Nose tip rotation angle, perfect. They both get this perfect. So overall, I would rate Park Sunghoon actually a tiny bit higher than Chaonu. I would give him a 7.5, which is quite accurate to his overall harmony rating. Okay, now this is looking at the facial angularity. This is someone who's fat, so this is looking at how lean your face is, how angular your face is. You know, he's obviously at a very high body fat percentage, so he gets everything pretty much at the zero. This is someone who has extremely poor angularity. Your angularity also defines your harmony. We can see that this guy has extremely low facial harmony, and part of that has to do with his angularity. So it's messing up his jaw frontal angle, super flat. You know, it's also messing up your, let's see, what would it mess up? Your jaw slope would be messed up from this. Your facial width to height weight ratio would be off because your face would be super huge. This is also messing up his ESR because his face will be really wide, messing up the ESR. This is haruma miura, where now we're looking at someone who's more angular. So we can see that he's visually a bit more facially slim than the other guy, and we can see that it's mostly because of the jawline definition. We can see that his jaw is more visible than the other guy. His submental region is a bit more defined as well. Also, his chin is more square. We can see his chin better. We can see that his cheekbone prominence is also better. It's more laterally projected, and we can see it right here. Looking at the cheek leanness, Haruma doesn't have the best cheek leanness, but we can still see that it's better than the fat guy. And since he's more angular, we can see that his facial harmony ends up scoring higher, and we can see that his jaw frontal angle is better than the fat guy because he doesn't have fat hanging down from his chin. His ESR would be better, his FWHR would be better, and things like that. Your angularity really affects your harmony score depending on what your body fat percentage is. And for that dimorphism, it hasn't came out yet, but we can just kind of visually see Haruma Miura has this is a good example of someone with high dimorphism with someone who's East Asian. I'll give his dimorphism like an 8.75. It's really good. We can see that his chin can be more square, which deducts his angularity. His face is on the shorter side here, so it deducts his angularity. I mean, sorry, his dimorphism. But we can still see he has good dimorphism. And he has pretty good misc too. This is someone you can also look at for miscellaneous features, but I'll say Eunwoo has better misc. That was it for the video, guys. If you guys want this for yourself, if you want to know how attractive you are, angularity wise, if you want to know how lean you are, if you want to know your harmony, which is very important for your facial aesthetics on how attractive you are, you can get 60 plus ratios, including your front and your side. Press the link in my pinned comments or in my description if you guys want this for yourself.